Finals of the Australia Cup in what is a new era for the Queensland side, with wide sweeping changes from top to bottom. Western Sydney on the other side are fresh off achieving their first finals appearance in 6 years. Positivity swelling around, and there is the old school Lions jersey, and here are the teams that will run out for the Brisbane Roar. Just the one change for Ross Aloisi's side. Olyroos defender Kai Trewin drops down to the bench as the experienced campaigner Scott Neville comes in to face his former side. 15-year-old Quinn McNichol, who became the competition's youngest ever scorer against Sydney United and signed his first contract this week, misses out for the experienced new recruit Florent Berenguer, who comes in for his first match day as a Raw player after winning 3 premierships with Melbourne City. Still no sight of Matt Acton as Macklin Freak starts in between the sticks. Just one change for Marco Rudan's side. Gabriel Clerc comes in to the starting 11. Aidan Simmons coming out of the side. He is on the bench though. A powerful duo of Brandon Borrello and Marcus Antonsson lead the line once more after impressing against Adelaide United. And Western Sydney have today announced a new signing. The super experienced Dutch midfielder Jorrit Hendricks joins the side from Europe. He's unavailable today, still travelling to Australia. And there is Tom Waddingham, the 18-year-old striker from Cairns, North Queensland, born and bred, part of the new strategy at the club. Former Edge Hill United player. Massive pressure on his shoulders with no established number 9 at the club, really at the moment. But he did score against Sydney United, and talk about established number 9s. Marcus Antonsson really impressed in his last game against Adelaide United, scored a brace, and already forming a great partnership up top with Brandon Borrello, the former Leeds United striker, as well as Blackburn Rovers is Marcus Antonsson, the Swedish forward. Certainly be one to watch today. Here is Ross Aloisi, his last head coaching gig coming back in 2015 at the helm of the Adelaide United women's team. Obviously was at the club as well, the Brisbane Roar, as an assistant under his brother, John Aloisi. Now it's his turn at the helm of the Queensland side. Alireza Fagani leading the officials team, along with Anton Shetinen and Ashley Beecham. Lara Lee is the fourth. Alireza Fagani, Anton Shetinen and Ashley Beecham all called up this week for AFC Asian Champions League competitions. Marco Rudan, the coach of the Western Sydney Wanderers, has done a great job at the helm so far, leading the side to their first finals appearance in 6 years. And a special guest in the house tonight, Tim Cahill. He's giving some autographs and photos to the young fans in attendance. Australian legend is Tim Cahill. Campbell Johnson here in commentary, and what a beautiful afternoon for the Australia Cup, Phil Moss.
Absolutely outstanding. The stage is set. 2 teams that scored a glut of goals in their last outings in the Australia Cup. Magnificent competition. Massive fan am I of this competition. Campbell, great to be alongside you for this one. I can't wait to see how they both line up and the intent that they go into this game with, because there has to be a winner, of course. So which team will take the attacking intent first?
Well, Western Sydney Wanderers scored a handful of goals against Florent Athena, local Perth side, before dispatching Adelaide United heavily as well. Over 5 goals scored in both games as we are underway in the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup, as Brisbane Roar host Western Sydney Wanderers. Brisbane Roar with a big win against Sydney United in the round of 16, 5-0 in that game, but they have already faced A-League opposition in this year's edition. They beat Newcastle Jets in extra time, a dramatic game that was. Alex Parsons returning to the club with the winner, Louis Zabala, who starts at left back today with his maiden first team goal. Campbell Johnson and Phil Moss here in commentary. 4:10 play. And what an afternoon it is in the Sunshine State. Just 23 degrees, and this cup has already delivered so much excitement this week alone. A fantastic game between Melbourne Knights and Heidelberg United, ending right at the death with a comeback win for Melbourne Knights. Melbourne City getting a result late on against Metro Stars 2, a South Australian side. And a great booming support from the Den, the Brisbane Roar supporters. Miljuznic just unable to keep it in play. It's the first time the Brisbane Roar have played a home game in the Australia Cup in quite a while. Letty now back at the club after departing for Adelaide United and spending some time overseas in Japan as well. Joe Coletti spent some time in Norway as well. Former Joey's captain forming a double pivot with Jay O'Shea today. And it'll be interesting to see how the shape adjusts when and if Lauren Berenguer comes in, and offside was Carlo Armiento on that occasion. Bill Moss, how do you predict a change with Lauren Berenguer, their big recruit this off-season? How do you see they'll move the Magnets a little bit?
Yeah, look, I think that's a fantastic signing. Of course, we saw what he did down in Melbourne, and he's a quality player, and unfortunately his pre-season's been punctuated by some injuries, but nothing too serious, I believe. So he's looked good in training, and it won't be long before we see him get some match minutes, maybe even this afternoon. All things going well for Brisbane Roar, but Ross Aloisi slowly but surely building his squad.
Armiento delivering towards the near post, and the Brazilian centre-half, Marcelo, able to deal with the danger. The former Lyon man, very experienced player, is Marcelo. A prickly character as well, it must be said. And one of the great entertainers.
Oh, he's a winner. He's a leader. He's a winner. He's got street smarts, knows how to manage a game as well. He makes those around him look better as well. So key signing for Marco Rudan last season.
Jay O'Shea standing over it towards the back post, rising. Was Scott Neville. Just couldn't steer it goal bound. And boy, don't these Brisbane Roar fans love being in the heart of Brisbane at Perry Park as we have a look on the replay.
That's really good delivery to the back post area, and you can see Lawrence Thomas hasn't got a clear run at the ball because of the bodies around him. And Scott Neville, knowing him, will be disappointed he couldn't get over that and get it down on target. Great opportunity for Brisbane Roar early.
Almost an early goal against his former side, Scott Neville. And for Perth Glory as well. Western Sydney side tipped to do very well this campaign. You can understand why. Had a great year last year and have really gone from strength to strength. Haven't lost too much quality and have added in an area where they needed to. That number 9 position used to be a high pressing figure as well. Gabe Clure in at right back, missed a lot of last season after impressing early doors in the campaign. A great gallery here at Perry Park, the home of the Brisbane Strikers, a historic club in Queensland, and full of orange this afternoon. Exactly what you love to see. Plenty of cup games have been played here over the years as well. A great venue.
Yeah, and credit to the ground staff as well. The pitch is in mint condition here at Perry Park. The sprinklers on just before kick-off to make sure the ball zips around. Suit both sets of players as they look to make sure the ball speed is spot on this afternoon, playing in defeat.
It's plenty of action too. Even hosted the Matildas during the World Cup as a training venue as Clisby trying to deliver, but Jack Hingett able to intercept. Jay O'Shea, the Irishman. Won by Borello. Another player against his former side. Had great success, did Brandon Borello at the Brisbane Roar. Earned him his move to Germany. boy, what an addition he's been to the Isuzu Ute A-League since coming back from Europe. Worked his way back into the Socceroos. The stuff of dreams. Exactly what the Isuzu Ute A-League can provide. Here's Hingett. O'Shea, lovely splitting ball now. Henry Hall gets it back from Miliuznic. O'Shea. Miliuznic headed away on the edge of the box for Coletti. Just getting too much underneath it, and a golden opportunity for the Brisbane Roar goes begging.
Oh, Coletti had to take that first time. Once he took that first touch and let it bounce, the skid off the wet surface took the ball away from him, but you can see it falls beautifully there. The first touch just lets him down, and once he lets it touch the ground, the chance was gone. That's a couple of openings for Brisbane early in this game. Western Sydney Wanderers deploying a deeper block. When Brisbane have got the ball, they're inviting them into their pressing zone. Brisbane are playing around and over it at the moment down both sides.
It was an incisive ball from Jay O'Shea as well. Just splitting the defence open, a new central defensive partnership. Marcelo and Alex Bonatig. Bonatig's younger brother Liam signing for Celtic FC during the week. The Scottish Giants.
You're right, it was a beautiful ball from Jay O'Shea that opened the opportunity in the beginning. He's such a classy player, Jay O'Shea. You can see a pass, you can execute a pass with really quite little effort. He's one player that Western Sydney will have to shut down.
He's been at times rumoured with a move away, but remains a Brisbane Roar player, and a key one is Parias in the box now. Parias striking. And it's blocked well by Louis Zabala, the youngster, but a really nice counter-attack from Western Sydney.
Great opportunity. You can see Marcelo going long and over the top. Brisbane caught a little bit flat. Antonsen does brilliantly there to bring Parias into the game. And then Zabala sticks to the task, as all good defenders do. Stayed up on his feet. Made sure he got something in the way of the shot.
Lovely travelling support from Western Sydney Wanderers as well. The RBB on tour. An impressive young player is Louis Zabala, central midfielder by trade. Playing at left back. Jack Clisby take the corner here. In swinging from the left boot towards the near post. Headed on by Marcelo, but hit the woodwork and recycled this time. Rising was Tom Beadley. By the looks of things, at least, could have been Alex Bonatig.
Yeah, Bonatig it was. Great delivery on the second attempt by Jack Clisby. Both deliveries were very good into that near post area. You can see Marcelo just missing that. But then the return delivery, look at that. Beadling finds himself with a free header right on the edge of the 6-yard box. He'll be disappointed he didn't at least get that on target.
A risky ball from Tom Aldred, forcing Macklin freak out, but he does so well somehow to find the path of Miliuznic, who can't control it. Raw regain possession. Milos Ninkovic hounding Henry Hall. Such a key player for the Sky Blues, crosstown rivals. Now, in the red and black, a controversial move. And provided much drama last season. A promising start from particularly the Brisbane Roar. Macklin Freak with a good opportunity to assert himself. Pre-season, Matt Acton in the stands for today. Lawrence Thomas in that new bruised banana Arsenal-inspired goalkeeping kit. Fleur, lovely outside of the boot ball for Parias. Well dealt with by Brisbane Roar. Scott Neville to the rescue.
Yeah, well positioned, Scott Neville for that one, and Brisbane's backline on that occasion were in sync, did very well. Saw them caught a little bit flat earlier from Marcelo's long ball. Time they were very well positioned indeed.
Joe Coletti, a good acquisition this off-season too, it must be said, just to do the dirty work at the base of the Brisbane midfield, ground-eating midfielder. Profile perhaps been lacking in the last few years. Freak for the long option under a bit of pressure.
We can see the RBB, as you mentioned there a little bit earlier, Campbell too. This has been organised by the club, showing great initiative to take their core support group on tour with them. We know that Paul Lederer, Marco Rudan and all the staff at Western Sydney wanted to get closer to their supporters last season. It's a wonderful example of what they're doing in the background to make sure that that goes to another level this season.
Fantastic work by Western Sydney, that's for sure. Bringing the West up to the Sunshine State. Farias really lively early in this fixture. Farias driving across the face, falls on the edge of the box, and Jay O'Shea able to sweep up. O'Shea skips past two, doing really well. Is Jay O'Shea, and it just doesn't quite keep in play for Nikola Muliuznic, former Adelaide United man. Brisbane to take the throw in. And a colourful chant from Western Sydney Wanderers supporters. Exactly what they're known for. Ninkovic. Brisbane Raw playing out of the press well. Zabala. Fiamiento down the line, and Lawrence Thomas under pressure. Toon Gabby local. Exactly what the club is trying to do with their recruitment strategy, bringing those Western Sydney players back to the club, players from the region. It has been sensational ever since moving to the club.
Yeah, I think players as well that you can add to the mix, like Jorrit Hendricks, obviously a very experienced player from Holland. 239 games for PSV, no less. Feyenoord, of course, Spartak Moscow. Those type of players will really add the leadership and the foreign quality that you'd expect around a squad like that. And I don't think Western Sydney are done yet. I think there might be some additions coming in the next few weeks before the league kicks off. But of course, one very famous Dutch player that came to the league, Patrick Zwanswijk, who I worked with at the Mariners under Graham Arnold. They really do, when they've played at the top level, they bring some real quality.
What a player Patrick Zwanswijk was back in the day. Sure, Jorrit Hendricks will add some steel to this Western Sydney midfield, perhaps needing to recruit another centre-half, more experienced option, potentially. Here is Muliuznic for the Brisbane Roar, cleared by Western Sydney. They deal with the pressure well. Josh Brillante, another new acquisition coming over from Melbourne Victory. Former Sydney FC player.
And that signing too of Hendricks brings some real depth to the midfield at Western Sydney, because Tom Beadling, Josh Brillante, Milos Ninkovic. I know Hendricks can also play as a centre-back. Gee, that gives Marco Rudan some riches in that midfield area, doesn't it?
Spoiled for choice is Marco Rudan. Whether they recruit some more, Brisbane Roar look to have potentially finished their business. this window for this upcoming season, which kicks off in October. Armiento delivering this time and headed to safety by Alex Bonatic.
Well, that time he got it just right up the other end of the pitch. Bonatic doing his job to defend that set piece very well. Great delivery from Armiento. Really asked some questions of that Western Sydney Wanderers defence. Bonatic was up to the task.
Got another chance to deliver for Brisbane. Towards the back post this time, and Lawrence Thomas hangs on strong. Despite a little bit of a collision with Josh Brillante, his teammate.
Well, that's strong hands from Lawrence Thomas. We know he's a quality goalkeeper, but look at that. Under pressure from his own player, he still had to be so strong with his wrists. Pulled it in very, very well.
Brillante does well to get it around the pressure. Kleur inside for Borrello. Antonsen, the Swede, gets his third goal in a Western Sydney Wanderers shirt and opens the scoring in the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. A beautiful ball in and beautifully dispatched.
Well, look at that from Josh Brillante, using all his experience to use his body just to flick it down the line. The key here is the early delivery from Kleur. Absolutely outstanding delivery to the far post for Antonsen to do what we've already seen he's capable of doing with a finish at the back post. The question, of course, is how is he left so free at that back post? Jack Hinton get caught out of position with Antonsen. A simple tap in for his first goal of the afternoon.
That's what they brought him in to do. And it's a sea of red from the flares. The Western Sydney Wanderers fans getting excited early, and good luck to anyone trying to see what's going on in this game. They'll have a better shot than I will. Good luck trying to see through that. Western Sydney trying to form an attack. Louis Zabala able to go the other way. With the Brisbane Roar collected by Macklin Freak to set this up. Carlo Armiento unable to find a teammate. Gabriel Claret was playing that early ball through, getting the assist for that first one from Marcos Antonsen's goal. And what a delivery it was. Missed a large part of last season due to injury. Aidan Simmons coming in for him, who did very well, the former Sydney FC academy player. Kleur, who returned to Australia from Italy, in the lower divisions there. With Virtus and Teller. Had a few loans as well in Serie B, the second division in Italy.
Well, it was really clever from Kleur as well, not just to deliver it early, but to use the pace of the pitch. You know, he knew that the ball would skid across the face of goal. He just had to keep it at a level that could be finished first time by whichever runner was in there. Of course, he spotted Antonsen at the back post. A wonderfully worked goal, but Ross Aloisi will not be happy, because Brisbane had shown some really bright things early on, a couple of chances for themselves, and they'll find themselves behind.
It's Borrello. Beadling able to collect and reset the attack. Clisby very high from the fullback, takes a touch on its way through, and will be a corner for Western Sydney. And up till that moment, you'd probably say Brisbane Roar with the better of the chances in the game. And there is Tim Cahill with a few greetings. Socceroos legend, obviously a long time at Everton as well. What a player. Coming along to watch some local football as well.
Yeah, spotted him in deep conversation with Ross Aloisi prior to kick-off.
Galante. Get away by Neville. Antonsen just watching it out for a throw-in.
Yeah, great to see Timmy in town, supporting the A-League men's teams in this Australia Cup. Great to see the kids with a chance to see their idol as well.
Fleur. On by Antonsen, who's making a busy afternoon for himself. Really impressive as a new recruit to the league. Someone that maybe not everyone had heard of, or largely unknown. Had played for Leeds United and Blackburn, but mainly plying his trade in the Swedish league. And has really shone in these early stages. Parias, Macklin Freak a long way from home. Parias. And Louis Zabala does expertly to save his side and save his goalkeeper on that occasion. Bonatic. Nervy moments for Macklin Freak.
Yeah, it was. He came out, didn't quite read that one. Was bailed out by his defence. That's another example of Western Sydney and the trouble they're causing when they can get in behind that Brisbane Roar back line.
Clare. Lovely flick through. Can't find a teammate though. And that #1 jersey. It's been a bit of a revolving door over the last few years for the Brisbane Roar, ever since Jamie Young departed the club. Jordan Holmes and Macklin Freak splitting the minutes over the last 2 seasons. Now Matt Acton in to give it a shot as well.
Yeah, it was a big loss for the club, Jamie Young. He's obviously gone on and won a championship with Western United. Now he's at Melbourne City.
Four manages to get past Gabe Clerk, cutting it back this time. And Josh Balante just happy to see it away. Or Ninko, in fact, getting the clearance. A Serbian international. It was a stroke of luck, perhaps, from Henry Hall there.
Well, it was his intent. He wasn't going to give it up, and he wanted it more, and he won the ball. He just needed to pick a teammate out in the middle, and he couldn't do that. Milos Ninkovic, as we know, covers every blade of grass with and without the ball. Great defensive work by the midfielder.
Zvala just getting the cross in before, but was dealt well by Western Sydney. Armiento. Henry Hall, lovely ball through for Zabala, who was potentially offside. Flag doesn't go up, and Western Sydney look to go the other way. Ninkovic does well and draws the foul.
Well, he drew the foul, of course, but look at the way he uses his body here, Milos Ninkovic, just so aware of what's around him, how to use his body, how to draw the foul, give his side the ascendancy in that situation.
38 years old.
38 years young.
Indeed, indeed.
Still one of the key players in this competition, I've got no doubt, this coming season.
Two-time Johnny Warren medalist winner. Won the Joe Marston medal as well. What a player. Had his very own A-League's All Access episode as well, which you can watch on keepup.com.au. Paramount Plus too. Provided some drama in one of the finals episodes as well with Steve Corica. What TV that was.
Well, I can tell you, we'll have another couple of episodes this season coming, because that acrimony hasn't gone away.
No love lost.
No, but, you know, Milos Ninkovic, I put him up there in, and this is no disrespect to any other player that I've worked with, but he is definitely in the top 2 or 3 players I've ever worked with, given his ability, but given his personality as well and how he is as a person, his nature with young kids, you know, spending the time, the extra time that he does on the training pitch with young players to teach them the trade, what it takes to be a top professional, who's been to the World Cup and had such a profound impact on the A-League.
One of the great imports. Would be up there with one of the best we've ever had, that's for sure. Milos Ninkovic. Here's Zabala. Another North Queenslander from Giroux. There is Miloš Ninkovic.
Of course, that was his first goal in Wanderers colours in that last cup game against Adelaide United, which is a rare dry spell for Miloš Ninkovic. Of course, he missed a bit of last season through injury. He'll be relieved to have got off the mark for his new club.
O'Shea trying to find Louis Zavala on the far side, just can't manage to do so. Henry Hall in that number 10 position today. It'll be interesting to see if perhaps that's where Florent Berenguer comes in, if he in turn moves wider or to the bench, or how Ross Aloisi changes things with that acquisition. 81% pass accuracy so far in this game from the Brisbane Roar. And here they go again. Hingett towards Louis Zavala, got his first senior goal against Newcastle. This is lovely. Henry Hall regains possession. Zavala. Henry Hall dispossessed by Brandon Borello and fouls him on his way through, just tugging onto the jersey.
Well, you can't say that Brisbane are knocking on the door. They've certainly made some telling entries into that top third, as we just see that foul again on Borello. They've certainly asked some questions of that Western Sydney Wanderers defence. It's just that last pass or cross into the area that's just letting them down at the moment.
Raw with numbers forward now. Waddingham, the youngster, the 18-year-old, starting up front for Brisbane Roar. What an opportunity he has this season. It's been a quick rise for him as well. Here's Aldred. Such a great servant to the Brisbane Roar over the past few years. Here's Hingett, tucking inside. Miljuznic overlapping is Hingett. That's lovely. Now the Brisbane Roar. Armiento! The Roar strike back. And in what fashion and what a celebration. Carlo Armiento gets his first goal of this Australia Cup. And what a moment to do so.
Well, it's absolutely brilliant in its creation and absolutely composed in its execution. Look at that from Armiento. Miljuznic, the creator supreme on the other side. Jack Hingett with a pinpoint delivery to the back post. And Armiento with a brilliant first and second touch to get his side back into this game. Magnificent Brisbane Roar goal.
And the celebration, Mbappe-esque. Carlo Armiento getting one back for the Brisbane Roar, and it is level. And a brilliant move with Nikola Miljuznic and Jack Hingett. Sensational.
Well, we said they were knocking on the door and they just had to get the last pass and the execution right. It all came together quite brilliantly on that occasion for Ross Aloisi's side. That's the sort of stuff you work on the training pitch, those combinations around the opposition box. The overlapping run from Hingett, but the creativity of Miljuznic to flick the ball up over the defender into the path of Hingett, and then that cross was pinpoint for Armiento.
This game promised to be exciting, and we've got exactly that. Something else we've got is a beautiful Queensland sky at sunset. Looks sensational behind the Bill Waddle stand. And here is the foul. Carlo Armiento, the goal scorer, just colliding with Dylan Perez. And some players for the Brisbane Roar as well, not just for the Western Sydney Wanderers fans.
What a wonderful setting this is for an Australia Cup game. Look at that, absolutely picturesque. Two teams going at each other as well, both on the score sheet in the first half. Set up magnificently.
Doesn't get much better than this. Gabriel Clerc driving forward now, gets around Jay O'Shea, looking for the switch towards Jack Clisby, fullback to fullback. Can't manage to get past the Brisbane Roar, though, and they look to go the other way. Here's Thomas. Parias, good first touch. Ninkovic able to keep it in play well. Here's Clisby. Parias. Barello against his former side. Josh Brillante unwinding and just going wide. The Wanderers players believing it took a touch on its way through. Alireza Fagani thinking otherwise. And it's set up beautifully for him.
Some beautiful work there by Barello to play the ball into the path of Brillante, and gee, we've seen him score some crackers from that sort of range. Brillante didn't quite get the target right on that occasion, nor the power that he was probably looking for. Some great work down the left-hand side for Western Sydney by Miloš Ninkovic as well.
Clisby's touch just letting him down. Now in his second spell with Western Sydney, coming over from the Perth Glory. Played at quite a few clubs now. Jack Clisby, Central Coast Mariners. There's Glory, Western Sydney. Played at the same junior club as well as Scott Neville. Sorrento Juniors, both playing today. He had to do it tough. Jack Clisby, playing in the local leagues in Perth when he was younger. Sorrento, Balcatta, Perth Soccer Club and Inglewood United. Tom Aldred just lets it run through to Macklin Freak. Of course, Melbourne City as well, Jack Clisby.
He's a player that doesn't get a lot of headlines, Jack Clisby, but I've certainly been impressed with how he's taken his game to new levels season after season.
It's Henry Hoare back out wide to Jack Hingett, former North Queensland Fury player. Here's Henry Hoare once more. The Roar still going. It's a nice play from Ross Aloisi's side, and you're right, Jack Clisby doesn't necessarily steal all the headlines, but definitely one of the better attacking fullbacks in the league. An underrated pickup from the Western Sydney Wanderers, Klur. Not a fully coherent clearance from Scott Neville, but it does the job. Gets a touch. Clears the danger, but a few nervy moments there.
Well, once again, Klur uses the pace of the pitch. Was watered before kickoff, as we know. Just slides the ball into a dangerous area, hoping for a runner. Scott Neville on that occasion swung his left foot at it. Could have gone anywhere.
It's Clisby. Good delivery and a challenging one. Now Klur winding up himself and just curling it wide.
Yeah, he was on his heels there, Klur. His first touch set him on his heels, so he had to generate all the power. Very little room to operate in. You see Jack Clisby swing that across. Didn't get the clearance right. See there, you just see Klur on his heels. He needed his first touch to go forwards. So his body movement could then generate some power.
Not the most convincing clearance from Louis Zabala. Really trying to set himself in this side. No immediate clear left backs in this squad other than Corey Brown, who has been out of action for quite a while. Whether we'll see him come back is unsure when that'll happen. And despite him not being in the matchday squad, Quinn McNichol, the young 15-year-old midfielder who scored against Sydney United, becoming the youngest scorer in the competition's history. He was warming up prior to the game. Tim Cahill watching on too while he was having a word with Ross Aloisi. A lovely switch from Armiento, well controlled, and the strike was spectacular from Nikola Muliusnic. Puts the thumb up, and it sat up so well for him he almost had to do it.
Well, it takes a lot of self-belief to take a 60-metre switch of play. Look at that from Armiento. He spots the run of Muliusnic, and look at this. Fantastic control off the chest to set himself for the volley. Maybe just caught himself off balance slightly. That is belief in your technique to even try that, to have the audacity to try that from Muliusnic.
But Phil, if it does go in, you'll be living on that for the rest of your career.
If that goes in, he's signing for Barcelona on Monday morning.
O'Shea dropping between the two centre-backs. The Brisbane Roar. It's one back. On Ross Aloisi's side. Luis Abala, the job to keep it in, does so. Armiento. Not a bad shape on it, but just a little bit too much power on that occasion. Having a good game is Carlo Armiento, though. Obviously scoring the goal, but a few good moments as well.
Yeah, he is. He's trying to force a run with the ball there rather than pick out the runner. Did lift it into a decent area, but front men were caught a little bit flat-footed on that occasion, Brisbane Roar.
Feature came out earlier in the week on keeper.com.au with Ross Aloisi as well, really emphasising what kind of play style he wants from his side, emphasising those forward runs. Obviously Brisbane Roar were the worst attack in the league last year, 26 goals in as many games. Something they'll be looking to amend this season. Here's Clerc. Lovely play from Western Sydney. Here's Clisby. Gets the touch from Ninkovic. Clisby brought down. And no penalty given by Ali Reza Vigati. Jack Clisby feeling like he may have been fouled there.
Gee, he's got a fair shout too. We'll see on the replay here. Just tries to use his body. No, I think that's fair enough. Jack Clisby does get the first touch, but loses control of the ball. I don't think there's any contact there from Jack Hingett.
Here's Zabala. Henry Hall. Armiento towards the near post. And Waddingham, the 18-year-old, with his second Brisbane Roar goal in as many games. What a moment for the youngster from Cairns.
What a moment, what a goal from Waddingham. Absolutely brilliant in the timing of the run, but look at that for delivery from Armiento. He's been asking all sorts of questions from the left-hand side, Armiento. That is brilliant delivery, but the timing of the run from Waddingham makes the brilliant delivery into a goal. Look at that, just gets his left foot to it. Brilliant run to the near post. Great delivery, outstanding second goal for Brisbane Roar.
If I had to have a guess, they might be his schoolmates celebrating him with him on the fence. The Cairns product making the most of his opportunity. Played for Edge Hill United up in Cairns. Moved down to Brisbane to join the Brisbane Roar Academy. Go to Kelvin Grove College here in Brisbane. And he is on cloud 9 at the moment, the youngster. And the Brisbane Roar lead Western Sydney Wanderers right before the break.
And have come from behind to do it too, Campbell, at this stage of the game. I said earlier in the call that Waddingham against Sydney United in the last Australia Cup game used his body well. He scored a great goal with his head. He was generally looking more mature than his age suggests as a footballer. That is a fantastic run and finish from the youngster.
Armiento unable to get past Gabe Clear on that occasion. And I noticed the same thing. It's that IQ, those runs that he's been making and how he uses his body is very mature, as you say. Promising signs for the youngster. Will he get the game time in the A-League this season? Here's Coletti. At the moment, he's certainly taking his opportunities very well.
And that's a question. Does Ross Aloisi hang on the shoulders of an 18-year-old for the season, leading the line? Does he try and recruit an experienced player and Blood Waddingham? We'll see here just the replay of the goal as we see it in the build-up down the left-hand side. Just watch Waddingham in the middle of the pitch. He holds his ground, stays away from the play, and it's here. He goes away, creates his space, and then he makes that darting run to the near post. That is absolutely brilliant from a young player. He knows exactly what he's doing there, keeping the defender on the right side of him, so he's got the space in front of him to attack the cross. Outstanding.
He's not picked up by either centre-half as well. Brilliant movement just to lose his marker. Here's O'Shea. Brisbane Roar playing with the confidence now. Zabala, another North Queensland product. From a town a little bit smaller than Cairns as well. A lot a bit smaller, in fact. Giroux. Just 354 people from the small town in the Burdekin. And a super promising talent is Louis Zabala. This lovely play from Armiento, and Hoare just can't centre it. It is blocked by Marcelo, but lovely bit of play from Armiento. A goal and an assist in this game. And geez, he's playing with a swagger right now.
He's having a field day down this left-hand side. Look at this from Armiento. Absolutely outstanding from a technical point of view, but also the awareness to know where the runner is. His head down. He's had a fantastic first 43 or so minutes, Armiento.
O'Shea to deliver the Irishman towards the back post. Tom Beadling gets a touch on it. It's still alive for the Brisbane Roar. Coletti. Out wide now. Back inside and square at Gabe Clerk. That's enough to block it. And Coletti just can't keep it in play.
We'll have to say Gabe Clerk, he's had his work cut out for him tonight up against Armiento, but he does brilliantly here to keep his arms out of the way, because that comes at him at a rate of knots. Used his chest very well.
Here's Neville. O'Shea. Hoare trying to feed it through for Jack Hingett. Can't manage to do so. Scott Neville actually played against the Brisbane Roar in perhaps one of the most exciting games of the A-League. That 5-4 game in 2016 played for Western Sydney Wanderers. Brandon Borrello played for Brisbane in that game too. What a match that was. The delivery towards the back post, Carlo Armiento. Able to track it down. He's been a great acquisition as Carlo Armiento, former Adelaide United, Perth Glory player.
3 minutes of time added on.
Spent a season out with an ACL, 2021 to 22, before moving to the Brisbane Roar.
Well, I can tell you, I was commentating that semi-final you alluded to for radio. It took me a good couple of weeks for the vocal cords to come back.
The adrenaline as well. Couldn't sleep that night, I'm sure, at Pertec Stadium. O'Shea, Marcelo heading it away. Hingett. Coletti in towards Neville. O'Shea. The switch lofted towards. Looks like Miljuznic on the far side. Just got the inside of his boot there.
Yeah, he spotted the run from Miljuznic, who created some nice space for himself in that back post area. Jay O'Shea was caught betwixt and between whether to drive it or bend it. A good first half from Brisbane Roar. Looked as though Western Sydney had the ascendancy after they scored. Brisbane really had the better of the opportunities, and they found a way to fight their way back, take the lead as it stands into half-time.
Can't really ask for much more. If you're Ross Aloisi, the side's shown good resilience, good character to come back from a goal down, playing some good football, great opportunities. 2 goals they've had have been sensational too.
That article you referred to, Ross Aloisi was quoted as saying he'd learnt so much from Kevin Muscat, who of course has been mentored by the great Ange Postecoglou. It's all about bossing the game and holding possession, playing in tight areas, numbers in the box, forward runs, forward passes. We've certainly seen evidence of that in this first 45 minutes from Brisbane Roar.
Ange Postecoglou, a very popular man in Queensland and Brisbane. Obviously, such an iconic side he created in the Sunshine State. Ross Aloisi serving as an assistant under Kevin Muscat at Yokohama F. Marinos. Prior to his appointment at Brisbane Roar, well won by Henry Hall that time.
Just saw an interesting stat pop up there. 3 shots on target, all have been goals. Remarkable for the first 45 minutes.
Well, what a first stanza it has been here at Perry Park. Absolutely sensational game so far. Western Sydney opening the scoring through Marcus Antonsen for 2 sensational goals for the Brisbane Roar. It does end at the first half. Brisbane Roar 2, Western Sydney 1.
And may be banned from attending future matches.
Well, what a first half it was here in Brisbane. Phil Moss, Marcus Antonsen opening the scoring, but then Brisbane Roar coming back with a fury.
Yeah, Antonsen at the back post here. Great work from Clure down the right-hand side off a ball from Josh Brillante. Look at that, just slides it across, uses the pace of the pitch. And Antonsen, Johnny on the spot, on the back post to give his side the lead. But then Brisbane, look at this, Miljuznic into Jack Hingett, into Armiento, who has all the composure. Look at that, that's outstanding from Miljuznic. The weight and the creativity, and then the composure from Armiento at the back post. Created brilliantly, finished with composure. Outstanding from Brisbane Roar. And then it was down this left-hand side, and that man, Armiento, again involved. Played into a wide area. Look at that for a ball into that near post area. And the run from Waddingham, absolutely outstanding. How he created his own space, kept his defender behind him, and then attacked the ball and got his left foot to it for a fantastic second goal for Brisbane Roar.
Well, the value for money couldn't be much better for those in attendance at Perry Park this afternoon. What a display between Brisbane Roar and Western Sydney Wanderers. And you mentioned it just before, Phil. Every shot on target has gone in the back of the net.
That's right. The goalkeepers with very little to do so far except pick it out of their own net. You can see there the corners 4-2 in favour of Brisbane. And they've created some problems from those set pieces as well. But the possession relatively even. But certainly it's been Brisbane with the better chances. If there's been a goalkeeper busier than the other, it's probably been Lawrence Thomas. So Western Sydney with a big job. Marco Rudan with a very, very important halftime talk.
Well, if the first half was anything to go by, the second is set to be an absolute cracker. Make sure you stick with us for the second half.
All right, we've got our crossbar challenge for the first time in season 2023-24, taking place down in front of the den. We've got 3 willing participants. What's your name? James. Hey, that's my name too. Well done. Anthony. Lockie, you're very tall, at least to me. All right, guys, so it's pretty simple. Take penalties from the spot, try and hit the crossbar, and the winner will get a Chairman's Lounge experience. I've heard it's pretty good. So, all right, James, you're up first. Oh, so close, just over the top. All right, coming up next, we've got the Den giving us a little bit of support behind there. And it's up, and ooh, it would have been a very good penalty. Hopefully we don't need penalties tonight. And our third contestant up next, we've got all right footers tonight. And just underneath, so no score in the first round of the crossbar challenge. Let's see how we go for round number 2. And just over the top again, you're getting close. I feel like that was aimed at me. Oh, that was right into the roof of the net, and a very good effort in jeans as well, I must say. We've got the sneakers, we've got the shorts, and the vintage Brisbane Raw jersey as well. Oh, that was just millimetres over. I don't think I've seen one much closer. All right, we're going to go for another round of the crossbar challenge. James? As we're just waiting for the ball to be returned. Good throw, well done. Thank you very much. Oh, just too low after going over on the first 2 attempts. And we have a winner. And oh, another one into the roof of the net. Dennis got it. Oh, another one, so close. Last round. Oh, just a little bit slippery on the spot. Good effort. All right, attempt number 4. We're getting so close. But I suppose this is also why it's called a crossbar challenge and whatnot. Oh, I think that might have been the closest one of the night. Bingo! We've got the winner! I think I just saw Tommy Waddingham do that celebration as well. All right, I think we might keep going. Let's go. Who's up next? Last go. How about a little noise from the Den? You guys are a little quiet. Oh, just over the bar. All right. It all comes down to this, the final attempt of the crossbar challenge. Oh, just into the roof of the net. But you know what, guys? Very good effort all around. Well done. Was it a bit tough out there?
It's slippery.
What do you make of it tonight?
Yeah, same slippery.
Aren't we all? And to our winner, James, bit of a wave for the crowd. What'd you make of that? It took a while, but you finally got your radar in.
Yeah, I thought we were going to be here all half, but we got there in the end, didn't we?
Well, that's what we want. Thank you very much, guys. James, you're the winner. All right, now get ready to join the Brisbane Roar right here at Perry Park on Saturday, September 30, as we launch the 2023-24 season of the A-Leagues. The day will start with an open training session for the Roar A-League women's team at 8 a.m. Then at 10 a.m, join the Roar men's team for their open training session with our season launch from midday to 3 p.m. Bring the family along and get ready to celebrate the upcoming season and meet all your favourite Roar players. Hear from Roar coaches Ross Aloisi and Gareth McPherson. Any person who does not comply with the spectator code of behaviour or who otherwise causes a disturbance may be evicted from the venue and may be banned from attending future matches. We would like to extend our appreciation to Qantas, Network 10 and MITRE for their ongoing support of the Australia Cup. And now, please welcome back onto the pitch for the second half of the Australia Cup quarter-final, the Western Sydney Wanderers and your Brisbane Roar!
What a first half it was here at Perry Park. Brisbane Roar coming from a goal down to get themselves back in the game and into the ascendancy right before the break. Armiento putting it in at the near post. Tom Waddingham, the youngster, getting the go-ahead goal. What a first half it was here in the Sunshine State. And if it was anything to go by, we've got an absolute cracker coming here in the second stanza as Brisbane Roar host Western Sydney Wanderers in the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. Campbell Johnson here in commentary for 10 play, joined by Phil Moss. And Phil, what a first half.
Outstanding, and as you said, if that's anything to go by, as the sun has now set, we're under lights, which often brings another level of intensity to football games. I think we're in for a cracking second 45, and I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to extra time as well.
Well, we've seen it go to extra time in clashes between these two sides in the past.
Wanderers at half-time of number 16, Tom Beatling.
2016 semi-final springs to mind. We've mentioned it a few times. Dario Vidicic winning it for Wanderers in extra time. Now the Melbourne City women's coach. Of course, penalty shootout for the elimination final the following year. This fixture steeped in history, that's for sure. Campbell Johnson and Phil Moss live on 10 play for the quarterfinals of the Australia Cup. And Brisbane Roar really with the Lions' share of chances in that first half, and they've got another one here for the young Tom Waddingham. And it is cleared by Jack Clisby for a corner.
Yeah, good cover defence there from Jack Clisby. He knew he had to be there to help out because Waddingham once again was using his body well as his balls flicked over the top. You could see it was Bonatig who was struggling to get the right side of Waddingham.
I've seen that a few times today. Tom Waddingham just losing his marker. Specifically, Alex Bonatig, the youngster, on that left-hand side of the defensive pairing. Here's O'Shea. Delivering the corner towards the near post. Marcelo, now the strike coming in, and it is blocked by the Western Sydney defence, and it was hit with some fury too from Willie Uznic. Here's Zabala. No changes as of yet. In fact, Oscar Priestman coming on at half-time for Western Sydney. Came over from Sydney FC this off-season. The youngster coming into the midfield for Marco Rudan. Jack Ingot chasing down there. Clisby does well too.
Here's that corner again. The strike from Milo Uznic, I think it was just going wide. Nevertheless, you've got to defend that situation.
Nice build-up play here from Brisbane. Waddingham in behind, but the flag goes up. Can't manage to finish it either way. And he is certainly raising the excitement levels of the Brisbane Roar fans. And a big part of the identity that this club wants to build, with local Queensland talent being brought through, embedded into this first team. Tom Beadling making way for Oscar Priestman, the English midfielder, making way. And a good opportunity for Priestman here. Here's Klur, just trying to play it back inside towards the Swedish forward, Marcus Antonsson. Monetig under pressure, but deals with it well. Priestman seemingly sitting at the base of this midfield for Western Sydney. Josh Belante getting a little bit further forward. The former Melbourne Victory captain, Clisby. Too much on at that time. We know how good his delivery can be.
Yeah, he just got his distances wrong there, and maybe his angles as well. Jack Clisby. But look at this from Milos Ninkovic. First touch, seamless. Second touch, absolutely perfectly weighted into the path of Clisby.
Almost creeping its way in. Macklin Freak a little bit in no man's land. It doesn't either find a teammate or make its way in. Brisbane Roar perhaps get away with one there. Klur. Brisbane Roar shutting up shop well defensively. Here's Borrello. Fairly quiet night from Borrello so far. The Socceroo, what a star he was last year in the Isuzu Ute A-League. So impressive in his return to Australia, and today playing against his former club.
Well, what was incredibly impressive last season was the fact that he was played out of position as a number 9. Western Sydney was struggling to score goals, and that's when he came into his own. He was absolutely outstanding, as you said, all the way to Socceroo selection. Now he's got someone like Antonsson up front with him, who looks like he's got a lot of goals in him this season. The service continues to be what it has been in these last couple of cup games.
Brandon Borrello almost reinventing himself at Western Sydney Wanderers. He's got 3 goals in the Australia Cup this year. Almost on the edge of the box for Zabala. Brisbane Roar do get it back though, and Jay O'Shea potentially winding up. Zabala striking and blocked that time. Brandon Borrello with 13 goals and 5 assists in the A-League men's last year. Fantastic campaign from him.
Well, one thing's for sure and certain, and that is that Western Sydney Wanderers will not want Brisbane Roar to be the next goal scorers in this game. It's a hill to climb at the moment for the away side. You don't want it to turn into a mountain.
Waddingham does well to hold things up. Henry Hall. Brisbane Roar playing with a certain level of confidence. Louis Zabala just can't find a teammate there, just getting his lines crossed a little bit. Good turn there. He's possessed though. A bit scrappy in the middle of the park at the moment. Coletti comes away with it though for Roar. In for Waddingham. And Marcelo, with all of his experience, and would get his side a goal kick. That's brilliant from the captain.
Outstanding defending from Marcelo. He saw the danger looming. Used his pace, experience, power. Play his team out of trouble. Just watch what that halftime substitution's done as well for Western Sydney, whether it just allows Josh Belante to get further forward with Priestman holding the midfield. And Marco Rudon with a tactical tweak just to put a little bit more pressure on Brisbane Roar up higher.
Of course, Warren Moon was the head coach last year. Was sacked mid-season. Nick Green coming in, and really their trademark last year was, hey, let's not concede for most of the season. Obviously struggled to score goals, just 26 in as many games, but their defensive solidity under Warren Moon and Nick Green was really their trademark. Will they be put under more pressure tonight? Western Sydney, the most goals in the Australia Cup this year. 11 so far, and a good opportunity here for Brisbane. Bonnetti able to cut it out, and it will be a throw-in for his side. And a nice battle between two youngsters in Alex Bonnetti and Thomas Waddingham. And a good turnout here at Perry Park, the home of the Brisbane Strikers. Freak. Priestman. Well won by Scott Neville against his former side. Zabala. For a target down the line, but no one there. Armiento a little bit deeper at the moment. There is Marco Rudan. Plenty of thinking from him at the halftime break, I'm sure. I've already seen one adjustment be made. Oscar Priestman now sitting at the base of that Western Sydney Wanderers midfield. Just giving Josh Brillante that freedom to move a little bit further forward, and now the switch from Priestman. Brillante. Here is Parias. Headed away by Scott Neville. Does well to get in front of Brandon Borello there.
Really good defending from the experienced Scott Neville. Had to read it well. Had to make sure his positioning was spot on, and then he had to be strong. We see a good switch of play from Priestman as well. Great to see a young player come on and have the confidence to play those longer passes early. And we see Parias get at Armiento. Neville does his job. There might be a problem here for Armiento.
Number 17, Carlo
He's had a
Armiento,
fantastic game.
Number 22, Alex Parsons.
So far, it sounds like Alex Parsons will be coming on for Carlo Armiento. Return to Brisbane Roar this off-season. Spends a season with Sydney FC, but a local product, an Ipswich native. He really broke through at Western Pride a few years back, and that is Carlo Armiento's day. And what a day he has had. A goal and an assist. Deadly from the dead ball. And Alex Parsons back at the Brisbane Roar with a famous number on his back too. Number 22, worn by Thomas Broich. Of course, what a player he was. Here's Brillante. Clisby finding himself in a central area and having a hit from range. Oh my word! Jack Clisby with one of the goals of the tournament. The fullback picking up a central area, going whack and levelling it for his side.
Well, we said that Jack Clisby doesn't get too many headlines. If he keeps scoring goals like this, he will be. Ball inside from Brillante, and the Brisbane Roar defence just aren't urgent enough. You can see Waddingham was close. The rest of the Brisbane Roar defence just backing off. And Clisby took one touch, two touches, looks up, sees the space in front of him and thought, you know what? I've got the left peg to hit the back of the net here. And he lets rip with a ball that was curling away from Macklin Freak to his left-hand side. That is a wonderful strike from the Western Sydney Wanderers left fullback.
Hits don't get much sweeter than that. Jack Clisby, what a hit. The fullback with his first goal back in a Western Sydney Wanderers shirt. What an addition, and this man, Lockie Brook, well, hasn't he excited in this Australia Cup? The Olyroos, 5 goals in the competition so far. The flare's back on from the Western Sydney Wanderers fans. And a big opportunity for Lockie Brook to make history as well. 5 goals in this edition of the Australia Cup. Only 4 players in the competition's history have scored more in a single tournament. Bobo had 8 in 2017. Aaron Moy with 6 in 2015. Sergio Sirio with 6 as well in 2014. And Jamie McLaren with 6 in 2019. Can he join an illustrious club? Will certainly have his opportunity to. Scored 5, all 5 of his Australia Cup and Western Sydney goals against Floreat Athena in his debut. Formerly of Adelaide United and also Brentford's B team. Went on loan to Crewe Alexandra. And now Western Sydney with an opportunity. Priestman. Brooks on the far side, looking for his 6, winds up, and it is saved by Macklin Freak, and a strong addition to the game. Phil Moss is Lockie Brook.
Yes, we know he's capable, don't we, of scoring goals and also just adding some real steel. You see him now getting back to do some defensive work.
Well, Jusnic able to keep it in play. Ball back for Hingett. Lurking at the back post is Alex Parsons for the Brisbane Roar. Scored his only league goal for Sydney FC, actually against his former club, Brisbane Roar. A bittersweet moment for him. Apparently had a slight falling out with Warren Moon prior to his departure from the Brisbane Roar, reportedly. And the ball back in now for Jusnic. And it is cleared by Western Sydney. Lockie Brook, the Olyroos attacker, able to get rid for his side. Was part of the Olyroos side that did go to the Maurice Ravello tournament in France. And now an opportunity for Jusnic. Under pressure is Brillante. Evades Henry Hall well. And numbers for Western Sydney. Antonsen almost picking the pocket of Scott Neville, who does so well there. In a dangerous spot. And O'Shea picks things back up. It's end-to-end here at Perry Park. Hingett through from Jusnic, already with an assist today. Parsons off the line from Lawrence Thomas. Brilliant from the shot stopper is Henry Hoare. Don't take your eyes off this game for a single moment. Driving forward now, Brisbane Roar. The strike from Parsons is blocked by Aidan Simmons, who's come on as well.
Oh, strap yourselves in for this last half an hour. This has got all the hallmarks of dramatic scenes and high drama late in this game. Action at both ends. Wonderful Australia Cup game here. As you can see, the shots now 9-7 in favour of the home side. Lawrence Thomas being called into action on that occasion. Neither side is going to go away here, and we spoke earlier that Western Sydney would not want Brisbane Roar to be the next goal scorer. Well, they took it upon themselves.
Jay O'Shea almost with a wonder strike of his own. Lawrence Thomas called to action once more. A busy night for him.
Great strike, Jay O'Shea. Look at that, he just sees the space open up. In the end, a reasonably comfortable save for Lawrence Thomas, keeper of his ability, but geez, it was coming with some gunpowder behind it.
Jusnic. The corner delivery now is deep, and too deep, in fact, for the Brisbane Roar. Not exactly the delivery they were after.
I think it crossed the byline from the delivery, so a goal kick it'll be.
You're right, this game certainly has the hallmarks of an absolute cracker. Already has been a cup classic. We've seen fantastic goals, namely from Jack Clisby, of course, but also Carlo Armiento's work, for his goal. One of the great team goals you'll see, that's for sure. And now Brisbane Roar with another opportunity. They're knocking on the door, as they have been all game long. A Great ball for Coletti. Takes a touch through traffic, almost finding its way to Alex Parsons. And it will be another corner. Jay O'Shea will take.
This is good work. Jay O'Shea again, so tidy. Finds Coletti with that ball, and Coletti's just his intent to never give up. He's forced something for his side in the shape of a corner.
Promising signs for the Brisbane Roar throughout this game. After a difficult season, 8th place. Jay O'Shea flicked on. It's leapt away. Joe Coletti takes a touch on its way through, but he won't mind. His first goal back at the Brisbane Roar. And what a time to do it. 3-2 Brisbane. And a classic Australia Cup match we have.
Well, he's learnt from the first half where he took a touch on the edge of the box. This time, it's a first-time thunder strike from Joe Coletti. That's an outstanding strike from the edge of the box. Nothing but belief on where that was going to end up, and that's in the back of the Western Sydney Wanderers net. You can see Lawrence Thomas was probably getting his eyes on that quite late. Slight deflection wouldn't have helped either, but nonetheless, you don't buy a ticket, you don't win the lottery, and Joe Coletti has put his side in front. What a game of football we've got here tonight.
Unbelievable game of football, Phil Moss. 3-2 Brisbane. And well, this game, this fixture, this matchup always delivers. And tonight, it's done exactly that, and there's still more to come. And how about the work from Louis Zabala as the offside flag goes up on Dylan Parias? But how about the work from Louis Zabala on that corner as well, just shielding off the defence, allowing Joe Coletti to get the strike off?
Yeah, great call. Great call, Campbell. That was real awareness from him. And he didn't do it illegally either. He just held his ground. He knew that Joe Coletti was in better position than him. He just needed to hold the space for him. And Joe Coletti did the rest. And that deflection and the skid off the ground is probably what brought Joe Coletti undone in the first half when he took that touch on the edge of the box. This time, he only had one thing in his mind, and that was to put his laces through it.
Well, the punters here at Perry Park have certainly got their value for money today. And us sitting just watching in awe. What a game we have on our hands. Still with 24 minutes to play. Still time for Western Sydney to go level once more. To get ahead, to force the game to extra time if need be. Brisbane Roar already have experience with going to extra time in the Australia Cup this year. They beat Newcastle Jets in extra time in the round of 32. Rob Stanton's second game in charge after coming over from Sydney FC to Newcastle, and a stray ball from Oscar Priestman asking a lot of Aidan Simmons, who did well to get back, and he did well last season as well, to come in for Gabriel Clerc, as he was injured throughout the majority of the season. And a foul this time on Nikola Miliusnic.
It's a foul, but that's good from Bonatic. It's good to see him running the ball into midfield, showing the bravery to step in and commit a defender, create an overload. That's what you want from your central defenders at the right time.
And a change for the Brisbane Roar. Looks like Joe Coletti may make way, but Florent Berenguer is coming on. Looks to be Thomas Waddingham's into his day, and what a game he's had. And it could be a debut for the Frenchman, Florent Berenguer, who came over from Melbourne City this off-season. The Brisbane Roar fans with their first opportunity to watch the star Frenchman in their orange. And it'll be interesting to see how Ross Aloisi adjusts. Looks like Henry Hall will be playing through the middle.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think Henry Hall will push on. Play as that front man with Berenguer just in behind. You know, he's got the ability to play as a second striker and in behind. He'll drop off the front line. Use his creativity.
Good ball there to set up Jack Hingett. Allow him to get forward. Here is Berenguer, his first touches as a Brisbane Roar player. Hingett. Campbell Johnson and Phil Moss live on 10 Play for the Australia Cup, and there's plenty more exciting football on Paramount Plus and 10 Play. Obviously, the Isuzu Ute A-League and Liberty A-League upcoming seasons, and the Roshan Saudi League. There'll be 3 games from each round, including Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr. Each week, live and free on 10 Play. So many stars in that league. A great addition for Aussie sports fans and football fans as Nicholas Milanovic comes on for Western Sydney. Former Western United player, Nicholas Milanovic, returned to Western Sydney mid-season. Obviously was in the academy beforehand. Marcus Antonsson's day coming to an end. The Swedish forward got his goal. And now Nick Milanovic coming on, a passionate Brisbane Roar fan in the crowd, as you love to hear. Here's Simmons. Must be said, both sets of supporters in voice and in song tonight. What you love to see, and a taste up for the upcoming Isuzu Ute A-League season. Miliuznic. Berenguer. Wouldn't the Brisbane Roar fans love to see him deliver some trademark brilliance tonight? Miliuznic driving towards the byline, and Bonatic does very well.
Yeah, well defended, Bonatic. As he looks to just shake off a little bit of cramp, but that's good from Brisbane Roar as well. They were patient, even though they're in an advanced area on the right-hand side. Miliuznic tries to get the better of Bonatic, but the defender stands firm. But what a player to bring off the bench when you're 3-2 up at home, 20 minutes to go, and you can bring a Berenguer on to just control the tempo. That's exactly what he's done in these opening stages of his cameo off the bench.
It's a lovely move by Jay O'Shea, headed in this time. Took a touch on its way through. Scott Neville rising above the pack and does so once more. Hingett. Brisbane Roar playing with a certain level of calm and composure in this second half.
You mentioned the atmosphere too, Campbell. 2 sets of supporters. Brings up the old debate, doesn't it?
Berenguer feeding it through for Henry Hall. Takes a touch inside. Henry Hall doubles Brisbane Roar's advantage. Makes it 4. And Henry Hall with his second goal of the Australia Cup.
Well, they get a little bit lucky here in the end, but it's the creative instincts of Berenguer in the beginning that really helped set this up for Henry Hall. And then he just doesn't give it up, does he? Look at that from Berenguer. Inside reverse pass into the path of Henry Hall, who started it and then finishes it with a fantastic left foot strike. They're not going away, Brisbane Roar, are they? They keep creating these opportunities, and eventually, with the huffing and the puffing, you just sense they were going to blow down the Western Sydney Wanderers' house.
Well, we saw a great team goal in that first half, and that one might even take the cake. Fantastic. We worked goal, and Florent Berenguer with an instant impact in his debut.
No surprises, absolutely quality player. We heard again the Brisbane Roar supporters in full voice, and it does bring to the surface again that age-old debate of the smaller boutique stadiums up against the big stadiums. I know Brisbane Roar, of course, will be at Suncorp this season, but you cannot ignore the atmosphere inside these boutique stadiums, and what that does to the product on the pitch. The intensity lifts when the atmosphere is great. Look at that, 6 goals. The Australia Cup, the gift that just keeps on giving.
Couldn't ask for much more. It's a good point you bring up about boutique stadiums. Brisbane Roar returning to Suncorp, but also looking at games at Ballymore just down the road from here, which has hosted especially A-League women's games in the past, and Perry Park as well. We saw the impact that Macedonia Park had on Perth Glory last year with a little bit of investment in some seating, just raising that capacity, and perhaps some broadcast upgrades as well. Make a big impact, and there's no reason why a ground like Perry Park, which has been touted with development upgrades for many years now, could be a sensational home for the Brisbane Roar. Ballymore already under renovation for Rugby Australia as well. And a foul that time on Nikola Muliuznic. Just resetting things, and a 2-goal buffer for the Brisbane Roar. Just what the doctor ordered. And the mountain is massive to climb now for Marco Rudan's side.
Slight issue there for Muliuznic to just roll his ankle. He's been good again for Brisbane tonight. Obviously, as we just see, oh yeah, he just rolls that right ankle, comes down over the sideline.
He's got an opportunity to pounce here. Henry Hall now playing in a more central role or up front. He's playing more as a number 10 in that first half, but has made way for this man, Florin Berenguer, who does well to win inside a throw-in. And I'm sure Brisbane Roar fans will certainly enjoy watching him play this season. It looks like a brighter future is on the horizon for the Brisbane Roar after a troubling few years of what is a massive club in the competition historically.
Yeah, they're a bit slow to get going against Sydney United in the last game. Co-commentated that one with our very own Robbie Thompson, but it was a synthetic pitch as well, so there was some mitigating circumstances, but tonight, gee, they've been very, very good.
Well, artificial pitches have been a talk of the town at the moment after the Socceroos played on one just the other day. Ayon Majok coming on. We mentioned just before how Nikola Muliuznic had rolled his ankle just in that move before, and that is his substitute, Taras Gamulka, also coming on for the Brisbane Roar. Seemingly for Joe Coletti, making way. Obviously got his goal, and what a goal it was. And what a moment for him returning to the club. Taras Gamulka coming over from Melbourne City. Partway through last year. Adelaide-born defensive midfielder. Two changes for the Roar. 4 in total. Kai Truan, James Nikolovsky and Henry Blackledge all still unused. Blackledge, the reserve goalkeeper for today. Milanovic striking this time into the arms of Macklin Freak, not causing him too many troubles. Macklin Freak, a good level cricketer as a junior as well, and a very keen fisherman as it is.
Yeah, good strike from Milanovic from outside the box, but as you said, not really causing Freak any heart palpitations. But Marco Rudan, it'll be an interesting reaction at full time if it does stay this way. 4-2 seems a bit harsh on Western Sydney given their performance overall tonight, but it has been those moments. Brisbane have taken them better than what Western Sydney have at the pointy end of the pitch. But this will be a blow if Western Sydney do lose this, as Marco Rudan tries to continue the Rudan revolution. at Western Sydney Wanderers. And for Ross Aloisi, this will give him a lot of confidence moving forward. Not forgetting it's his first men's top job. And you can see there's certainly aspects of what he's been working on the training pitch that are really coming to bear under competition situations.
The A-League season to kick off in October. And this Western Sydney Wanderers side, one that are tipped to do very good things this year, one of the competition favourites for sure. There's that one from Lockie Brook just hitting the side netting. It'll be interesting to see how Marco Rudan's side bounce back from what may be a tough defeat in the Australia Cup.
A good play down the left-hand side here. The ball from Clisby was the wrong option, though. The run from Lockie Brook had taken one or two defenders away. The ball was a cut back to the edge of the box. They're the moments that no doubt Marco Rudan will go back on video and look at, work on the training pitch. Still 4 weeks to sharpen the blade for the start of the competition.
Ayon Majok, a great story too, now on the pitch for the Brisbane Roar. Migrated to Australia from South Sudan in 2016. Played youth football for West Adelaide before joining the Adelaide United Academy. Made his debut in the A-League for Western United. Dropped back down to the NPL before signing with the Brisbane Roar, and centre-back coming on now for Western Sydney, Johnny Gridic. On for Western Sydney, Croatian-born centre half. Used to be Bonatic, who made way on that right-hand side. A new acquisition this off-season. Here's Gridic. He gets the last 10 minutes here to show Marco Rudan what he can do. Alex Bonatic, not the easiest day at the office. Some good moments, but a few moments as well where he lost his man at points. The one that he'll no doubt grow from, Lawrence Thomas. Able to clear. Raw building forward, Parsons brought down. A player who impressed so much in his first stint at the Brisbane Roar. Here's Milanovic. In for Borrello. Borrello saved by Macklin Freak. And a crucial one at that. The number one stands tall for Brisbane. Brandon Borrello still on his knees.
Yeah, good effort from Western Sydney here. Milanovic playing in. Brandon Borrello had made a good darting run in behind the Brisbane defence. Thomas Aldred couldn't get there. Macklin Freak stood tall. Palmed what was a decent effort from Borrello to safety.
Simmons just unable to get it past Brisbane Roar player. It does get a touch on the way through and make its way forward, but won back well by Brisbane. And a foul on Henry Hoare. And away by Jack Clisby on that far side. Henry Hoare wanting a yellow card for Jack Clisby. I think he's got fair reason to ask for that as well.
Yeah, I do. It was a sharp turn there from Henry Hoare. Clisby clipped him. Otherwise, Hoare was away. So I think there's a decent argument there for a yellow card.
Now, Henry Hoare with an opportunity to grab a second. Or tee up a teammate. As he is hit over the bar by Louis Zabala. He's had a good game.
He has had a good game, Zabala. He's done his defensive work very well. He's injected himself well. You can see a little bit of combination play there as well. Takes it early on his right foot, not his preferred foot. Zabala. Still had Lawrence Thomas just a touch concerned for a split second.
Here's Clisby. Just out of play for a throw-in.
Looks like he's hobbling a bit there, Clisby. I don't know if it's cramp or a knock that he's had. The one thing Rudan will be looking for and demanding in these last stages of the game is that Western Sydney don't go away. The DNA that he's been trying to rediscover at the club is alive and well despite the scoreline. For Ross Aloisi, no doubt, he'll be wanting his team to go for the jugular.
What a statement win this could be for the Brisbane Roar. A statement of intent. Of course, no promises that it'll translate to the A-League season, but a promising Australia Cup campaign can go a long way to establishing confidence, play style, trust in the fans as well. And of course, silverware and entry into Asian competition, a massive plus. Of course, the Asian Champions League and AFC Cup kick off this week, so make sure you tune in to those matches on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, it's fantastic once the Asian competitions start kicking in for us. Great competitions, the Asian Champions League and the AFC Cup. Great that we've got Aussie teams involved. I think if you're Brisbane Roar supporters, you can start getting excited about what you're seeing, not just on the pitch, but the front office. Zach Anderson, Kaz Patafta coming into senior management, both football people. Good business now. Ross Aloisi signing. You can already see what him and his staff are working on the pitch. Luciano Tranny, his assistant, very experienced. Frank Urich, the goalkeeper coach. Graham Harvey, of course. Early doors, indeed. We're not going to overshoot here, Campbell, but certainly some promising signs.
Absolutely. 3 A-League teams in Asian competition as well. Melbourne City, Central Coast and Macarthur FC as it's headed just wide by Brandon Borello. Just shy of that near post. Macarthur awarded their Champions, or AFC Cup spot, I should say, due to winning the Cup last year.
Borello gets too much on this. He'd made a good darting run into that near post area. He was looking for a glance. I think it might have had a little bit of shoulder in there as well. But they're the moments for Western Sydney. They just haven't made enough of them count tonight.
Brandon Borello, a real standout last year, was up there in the Johnny Warren medal count. Obviously, Craig Goodwin winning the medal in the end. He's departed Adelaide United to Al-Wada in the Saudi League as Henry Hoare saved by Lawrence Thomas and headed. Unbelievable, just over the target, and what a header that would have been from Taras Gamulka.
Well, that was quite brilliant almost from Gamulka. The awareness and then almost the execution to catch Lawrence Thomas out off his line. It was a fantastic save from Lawrence Thomas off Henry Hoare in the early stages, but then the rebound and Gamulka, the creativity to try and lob the goalkeeper off the head, wasn't far from paying dirt. Here's the save from Lawrence Thomas. Then the clearance isn't dealt with. And look at that from Gamulka, not far off at all.
Instinctual play, instinctive from Taras Gamulka. We're just mentioning the Asian competitions. Kicks off on Wednesday. Macarthur FC awarded their AFC Cup spot for winning the Australia Cup last year. Now, Melbourne City, Melbourne Knights already advanced. Brisbane Roar perhaps on their way. Sydney FC and Western United to play tomorrow afternoon. The winner of this year's Australia Cup will be granted entry into the AFC Cup and play Asian football. A great opportunity to gain entry into to those competitions. The Asian Champions League starting this Wednesday on Paramount Plus. Make sure you tune in to that one. Here's Priestman. Grudich. Melbourne City hosting Japanese side Ventforet Kofu this Wednesday night. The AFC Cup kicking off as well. Central Coast Mariners playing Terengganu. An away day for the Mariners.
Not to put too much pressure on Melbourne City, but they are a big club owned by a massive conglomerate now in City Football Group. I think they've got a magnificent opportunity here to go through their group. And we know that apart from this club we're watching in action tonight, we haven't had a lot of joy when it comes to the Asian Champions League getting through our groups. Of course, the Mariners did it under Graham Arnold. Adelaide United under Aurelio Vidmar. Western Sydney, of course, the ultimate prize. It's high time that an Australian club stood up and got through their group. Melbourne City, I think, have a wonderful opportunity to do so.
Adelaide United with a good run a few years back as well. And of course, Western Sydney Wanderers, you mentioned them just before, winning the AFC Champions League. What a moment that was for Australian football. And the Wanderers, just in their early years under Tony Popovich. It's one back by Priestman, but Karas Gamulka returning serve. Four minutes added on here at Perry Park. Brook, a lifting ball and a great one at that, but Tom Aldred does really well just to head it down to safety to Macklin Freak. And just a stray ball in that midfield.
As we tick over the 90 minutes, Campbell, there's some key statistics that really work in favour of that scoreboard, apart from what the score is. 16 shots to 9 in favour of the home team, 7 to 3 on target in favour of Brisbane Roar. Expected goals 1.15 compared to 0.71.
It's Henry Hoare driving forward for Brisbane, lays it off for Majok. Majok striking towards the bottom left-hand corner and saved by Lawrence Thomas as Marcelo just goes down. Bit hard to see the number on the back of Lawrence Thomas there and the name.
What a disappointing end to what was a really promising counter-attack from Brisbane. Henry Hoare, I think, does the right thing. I'm not sure that Majok should have just not let that ball run across his body. Struck it first time with the right foot. Couldn't get any purchase on it once he dragged to the inside. Henry Hoare again open if you wanted to play it back to him, but you're not going to get too many strikers passing the ball from there. But yeah, those statistics, Campbell, they're pretty damning in favour of Brisbane Roar in the final wash-up. Touches in opposition box as well. There's another one, 34 to Brisbane, 11 to Western Sydney Wanderers. So there definitely has been a lack of cutting edge from the visitors.
Now an opportunity for them. Simmons inside. Priestman, two former Sydney FC Academy products. Brillante with the switch. Lisby getting the return from Milanovic towards the near post. It is cleared well by Scott Neville. Majok. Neville. Really promising signs from Brisbane Roar in this game. Berenguer driving through the midfield. Berenguer still. That's brilliant from Florian Berenguer. And cleared eventually by Western Sydney.
Fast forward another 4 weeks with Berenguer in full training, getting some match minutes. And I think there's a much more exciting outcome at the end of that movement from him, the Frenchman. Such a wonderful player. Can't wait to see him in full flight in that Brisbane midfield.
Shaping up to be a really industrious and exciting midfield as well. And have a look at this moment. Here's the shot from Majock. And just keep your eyes on the ball boy here. Oh, every Brisbane Roar fan in the house.
Well, they say support is tribal and generational. Wonderful to see young ball boys so invested.
Majock once more now an opportunity to potentially amend the strike. And you're right, generations of kids now who've been brought up in the A-League era. That tribalism starting to become commonplace, perhaps, and that is full-time. Here at Perry Park as Brisbane Roar advance to the semi-finals of the Australia Cup with a dominant and sensational performance against Western Sydney Wanderers at home. A fantastic performance from Ross Aloisi's side in a game that was full of excitement, full of drama, and full of goals. A 6-goal thriller. Exactly what you want from home, and exactly the price of admission. It ends here at Perry Park. Brisbane Roar 4, Western Sydney 2. Well, Phil Moss, finally a time to catch your breath and relax after that game, and there were plenty of goals, and what an exciting fixture that was.
Outstanding, and credit to both sets of players, Brisbane Roar of course, but this is the first one here with Clure using the pace of the pitch, early delivery, Antonsen at the back post to put his side, the visitors, in front early in the first half. And he's shown that there's plenty of goals in him, but look at this, Mile Jusnic, such creativity. Jack Hingett with a pinpoint delivery to the back post. Armiento, fantastic first and second touch, so composed, and a great celebration from him on the left-hand side. He had a wonderful first half in particular, involved in the second goal here with great delivery. Wonderful run from Waddingham to that near post area, showed real maturity to hold his ground and time his run to perfection with a left foot finish. Nothing less than what Brisbane Roar and the opportunities that they created in the first half deserved. And then Jack Clisby, what a rasper that is, curling away from the outstretched hand of Macklin Freak. He saw the space, he knew he had the left foot to deliver, and he did with magnificent accuracy. Set pieces were a strength for Brisbane tonight. This one, Joe Coletti, edge of the box, learnt from his mistake in the first half to take a touch, put his laces through that first time. Got a little bit of luck with the deflection, but you don't buy a ticket, you don't create your own luck. And then Florent Berenguer, look at that for creativity. And Henry Hoare doesn't give it up, finds the back of the net with his left foot. Fantastic goal. Great awareness of what was around him as well and how to sell a defender. And it was all Brisbane from that point on.
Ross Aloisi will be absolutely pleased as punch with his side's performance today, Phil.
Yeah, so the passing accuracy, 82% each. You know, that will get better as the teams train. I say we. I'm not coaching at the moment, but certainly that's something that both coaches will work on as the season draws nearer. But Ross Aloisi with so much to like about tonight's performance. 8 shots to 3 on target is wonderful. And final third passes, 209 to 115 for the home side. That was a performance of a home side with belief and things that they're working on the training pitch, coming off on game night against top quality opposition, by the way. In Western Sydney Wanderers, Ross Aloisi and his players will be delighted.
Well, Saturday night cup football doesn't get too much better than that. The Brisbane Roar join Melbourne City and Melbourne Knights in the semi-finals of the Australia Cup. Tomorrow night, there's one more game in the quarterfinals stage. Sydney FC host Western United at Leichhardt Oval, and then the semi-finals draw. These 4 sides will find out their fate. And obviously the winner of the Australia Cup final will be granted entry into the AFC Cup. From all the team here at 10 Play and Paramount Plus,